Welcome back to another episode of the Strive On podcast. Today's episode is about financial wellness. So, if you're listening on Spotify and you want to see some of the graphics, you can jump on the Strive Studios YouTube channel, which I'll put a description in the show notes, because I got some things that might just be better to see visually. So I posted something on Threads the other day about helping people with finance. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that goes on with financial security, what we want to do with our finances, what is our relationship with money. And I had a really nice group of people who reached out and said, I've got some specific questions. I had a former student who asked about college debt. So I thought it was just good to put all this in one place. And hopefully it's something that I can build off of going forward as we're looking to help people, strive and move forward in life. So this idea of financial wellness, it starts with the concept of, what's enough? So if I was to ask you the question, what's a lot of money? Like, how much would you need to stop working completely? When I ask that question, I get all sorts of different views. People say a lot of money is making 60,000 a year, and some people say a lot of money is making $1 million a year. Some people believe that they need 10 million to retire. Others will say, well, I could retire if I had 750,000. So anytime we talk about money, it's uncomfortable because I don't know if we give it enough thought. I don't know if we think about what it actually means to have a lot and what it actually means to be financially comfortable. So one of the things I always start with is this concept of abundance versus scarcity. So a scarcity mindset says that we are focused on the lack of money. We look at what we don't have, whereas abundance mindset says, money can be created. And I really like that abundance theory that if you add value to the world, if you want to be a millionaire, add $1 million worth of value. Dan Martell talks about it all the time. Call up a company and say, can I solve a problem? And if you can solve their problem and it's a $100,000 problem, then you're likely to get paid $100,000 for that. But we have to start with that abundance mindset to realize that, I don't become poor when someone else becomes rich. I need to focus on the things that I can do and realize that win-win is possible. This whole organization of Strive is a win-win possibility. It's Sean and myself and Ethan and other people coming together, adding value so that we can create a company that ultimately thrives in the end, that we can continue to add enough value to maybe get monetized on YouTube. But it's not, hey, Sean's winning, so Joe must be losing, and Ethan's winning, so Sean must be losing. We're really in it for a win-win mentality. The second thing I want to talk about is this concept of savings versus investing. So a lot of people love to save money. And we save money for a car, we save money for a kitchen, we save money for a vacation, and that's great. But there is a difference. There's a difference between savings and investing. And sometimes mentally, savings connotates this being deprived. I can't have the things that I want in the moment because I'm saving for something else. Whereas when you flip it around and you use the idea of investing, I'm allocating money towards something, retirement, a house, a vacation in the future. I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in the future. There is a difference in the way that our mind looks at it. And so savings is a little bit of that scarcity mindset, and investing is that abundance mindset. Now, I'm not saying don't save money. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I love the Ramsey model of savings and getting out of debt. And what do we see with the Ramsey model? It's save $1,000, then pay off all of our debts, and then build up 3 to 6 months of expenses so that you never have to go back into debt again. So savings is a good thing, but when we think about it mentally, if we're only always saving and we're not investing in ourselves in the future, we kind of shift that mindset to go back to something that's scarcity. Next concept. Don't ask what it costs, ask what it's worth. Don't ask what it costs, ask what it's worth. So people will show up at a place and they'll say like, oh, how much does this cost? I want to hire a coach, but it's going to cost way too much money. High performers are going to ask the question, What is it worth to my life? What is it worth to my goals? What is it worth to my growth? And that's a really important question that you need to spend a little bit of money. You need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in opportunities that you have. So you might invest in a life coach or a business coach. You might invest in a trainer. You might invest in a dietitian. And when you think about that in terms of life coaching, one of the things I constantly see with the people that I work with is we create shortcuts. So instead of it taking 2 years to hit a goal, we might hit that goal in 3 months. And you got to ask, what is that worth to you? It's really, really important to put time in. Don't think about what it costs to buy the book, what it costs to buy the course. If the course or the workshop or the book shrinks the amount of time it takes for you to hit that goal, that's really, really, really what you want to have. I want to leave you with this. So here's 5 questions that you can ask yourself about money. Number one is, what do I really want? What result do I want? What do I want to get? Number two, what's important to me? Is it important to travel? Is it important to have possessions? Number three is, how am I going to get it? So do I have to work longer? Do I have to save more? Do I have to invest for the future? How is it that I am going to obtain this thing or this event or this course that I want to get? Number four, what's preventing me from having it? So in my life, I took a long time before I got into wanting to go to seminars, wanting to go to workshops, wanting to buy courses, because I thought, I don't have time for that. Do I really want to do that? Do I really want to invest? What was preventing me was my own ability to think about what I was investing in. I thought, well, this is so much of a cost. This is going to cost $1,000, and what if I don't get anything out of it? If it's a good course, you almost always get out of it. And I remember in 2015, I went to the John Maxwell Leadership Conference, and it was a big chunk of change at the time, and I had to fly down to Florida in order to get certified. But I 10x that investment in the next 2 years between speaking opportunities, between coaching clients. But I could have prevented myself from doing that and saying, like, oh, I don't want to leave my family for a couple of days. I don't know if this is a good investment. We talk ourselves out of things. And the last question I want you to ask yourself is, when you think about what you really want and what's important to me and how you're going to get it and what's preventing you, how are you going to know if you're successful? So I had that quote out there of, it's from John Maxwell, and he says that experience isn't the best teacher, evaluated experiences. Experience isn't the best teacher, evaluated experiences. And when I look back and I evaluate the experience with the John Maxwell team, and I thought about 10xing my investment. So I made 10 times as much as it cost to go to that seminar in the next 2 years. That was an absolute huge win for me. And I'm so grateful that I did it. And I know that it was a successful investment. And now that I have evidence that that works, I can continue to go on and do other workshops and go to other programs and invest in my own coaching, invest in the stock market, invest in the future. That's really, really important for me to be able to do. So as I summarize, I think this is going to be maybe part one of many, because there's a lot of different avenues we can take with this idea of financial wellness. And some people are afraid to talk about it. We're okay to talk about our health, and we're okay to talk about our family and our relationships. But for some reason, when money comes up, we get a little bit afraid. And so I want to use this as a ground zero. So we're going to talk a little bit about finance. I want to help students, former students, kids that are getting out of college. I want to help teachers unlock the mystery of money. One of the things I love doing is coaching people on their financial wellness. And I just met with somebody last Thursday. It was a former student of mine, and she works with my wife. And I said, come on over. Like, let's explain these things. Let's break down the difference between a Roth IRA and a Roth 403b and a regular 403b and a 401k. And we throw out all these numbers, and it's so confusing. And so what do people do with money? They push it away. They push it away because they just don't understand it. And I want to make it as simple as possible. There's a lot of information about money, but I think there's very little wisdom. And we have to start with our own financial wellness, what we're looking to accomplish. What's our psychology about money? Were we stressed about money because we watched our parents fight about it when we were little kids? Or are we very comfortable? But then taking that big sea of all these different things and putting it into a context that makes sense to you. I hope this helps. I hope this is a starting point for you to start thinking about your financial future. I really mean this. People don't always take advantage of it. Reach out to me. Send me a message. Let's have a connection. Let's engage with one another. Let's create something where you can build on your financial wellness. What we're here with Strive is we're real guys who have had experience, and we've had successes and we have failures, and we want to share shortcuts with you so you don't have to stumble the same way we did through our own life experience. And sometimes we focus so much on the big influencers. We want to listen to the people who have millions and millions of followers, but uh, they're unattainable, they're untouchable. And what we're here doing is building a community. And I would love for more people to reach out to us so we can have these discussions. So you can learn from me and I can learn from you, and we can put together some awesome stuff to help as many people as possible. Thank you again for listening to this episode. Again, please reach out with questions, like, subscribe. We'd love to hear about your story and help you strive in the future. Thank you, and God bless.